Today, we're going to talk about a state named Illinois. In particular, this Tetris-looking county in the northeast of the state called Wilk County. Here's the Wilk County Courthouse, which is also a strange Tetris shape. Anyways, we're also going to talk about a city inside Wilk County, a city other than Chicago in the state of Illinois. It's a city about 55 minutes southwest of Chi-Town. So it's a Chicago suburb. It's a city with comparable ethnicity to the United States, comparable per capita income, doing slightly better educationally. You're looking at 148,099 people. Somehow a 32 on the crime index, even though its rates of violent crime are pretty comparable to the United States. Somehow, yes, 68% of cities in the U.S. are safer. Anyone who wants to visit Joliet can go see their old jail. It seems they're pretty proud of that and whatnot. But I know what you're thinking. What on earth does Joliet, Illinois, got to do with the circuses? Well, it turns out there is a bit of a circus going on in Joliet, Illinois. Let's listen in.
Hey there, Lourdes and Ben. Yeah, there have been several calls for Joliet Mayor Bob Odenkirk to resign, including from a group of pastors. Well, today, Mayor Odenkirk and a few community members spoke out, including a community activist who says the mayor is not getting a fair shake.
The idea of resigning never crossed my mind.
Joliet Mayor Bob Odenkirk answered critics publicly for the first time, continuing to defend his actions after cell phone video showed him grabbing a young man by the neck as he was leaving a Black Lives Matter protest on May 31st, forcing that young man to the ground where he and his brother were swarmed by Joliet police officers. Odenkirk says it was self-defense.
I only acted to defend myself because I felt my personhood was threatened. So to those who choose to be critical, please do not mischaracterize my actions as an attack. I sought to hurt no one, but only to preserve my own personal safety in the middle of the chaos.
I support the mayor wholeheartedly.
Some Joliet community members spoke on Odenkirk's behalf, including the president of the South Suburban Black Chamber of Commerce.
Organization says supporter of Mayor Odenkirk is not who he says he is. Really? Oh, we just saw that picture. It has come to WJOL's attention that one of Mayor Odenkirk's vocal supporters at his side at a news conference this week is not who he says he is. Cornell Darden is not president and CEO of the South Suburban Black Chamber of Commerce. He was terminated about a year ago, according to a statement from the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce. Cornell Darden was terminated from the South Suburban Region Black Chamber of Commerce. Cornell Darden continued to falsely operate a chamber using the South Suburban name and EIN number. He has fraudulently accessed funds from our existing bank account and opened unauthorized bank accounts. In addition, he has collected sponsorships and membership dues without the consent of the board of directors after his termination. In addition to these fraudulent acts, Cornell Darden went on to illegally appoint his own board of directors to fraudulently operate a nonprofit that he was terminated from.
A Black Police Officers Association and a community activist who says she saw what happened.
I've never seen JPD be so violently attacked and the mayor be assaulted and then physically attacked to the point where he was pushed to the ground, falling onto another citizen.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Outside, protesters, including one of the victims, Victor Williams, continued to call for Odenkirk to be charged and question why as mayor he was out policing the night of the demonstrations.
He didn't know that was the mayor. The mayor was identified in no way as anything other than a white man in black clothes. That is it. He had no idea who it was.
Odenkirk, who spent 10 years on the Joliet police force, says he was just out in the community trying to defuse the situation. As for the two brothers, they have filed a lawsuit. They have yet to be officially charged in the case, but they'll be in court on July 2nd. The Illinois State Police are now investigating this case. I'm live in Joliet. Tanya Francisco, WGN News.
And so this isn't your typical thing. I mean, these police records were either destroyed or otherwise made unavailable for blackmail, perhaps. But when the Illinois State Police start investigating it, it's going to perk even my interest. And his statement that he made, which I'll let you see, was just crazy. Let's watch the video. Screenshot that. So if we're going to go through it, let's go through it. First thing that I see is the road is not blocked. You can see vehicles in the background that have crossed. You can see vehicles that are on the left side, kind of closer to the foreground, that are driving past these people. These people seem to be walking along the side of the road wearing their designated masks. Now, I'm sure there's a curfew enacted, and I'm sure that these people weren't just standing there doing nothing, but let's continue on. Now, first things first. When you see that, it's time to go the other direction. And that goes for basically any time. But so here we have the police have all shown up at this specific spot, and they've shown up to come and break up this specific group of people, right? And you see that cop gets his first one, and he's a riot police, and he's grabbing what they say is like the head guys. So this is probably somebody that this guy feels has been doing some of the shenanigans. He was one of the leaders. So this riot police guy grabs this dude. And notice he had his hands in the air the entire time. He puts his hands on the hood of the car and starts getting patted down. Enter the mayor. And he's going to come in here unannounced, in no kind of uniform. This guy could be Joe Schmo from off the block. If you'll remember, I did a video about a prior service veteran who tried to show up at the National Guard in LA. So here we have a dude who we have no idea who he is. I guess that he expects the people in his town to know who he is. But here he comes. Get going. Everybody out of here. Scat. Get out of here. Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Hey, you look. Somebody said they are B.
What?
My birthday's today. So wait. So dude said my birthday's today? I think that's what he said. But we're going to put this in reverse. Let's go here. All right, so here's the mayor, completely ununiformed, right? All right. So it looks like the guy in the hood is going to put his hands up and say, "It's my birthday today." And then he sees that the cop is coming for his hands, and he kind of goes up to his face. Either that. Yeah, see here? So he goes to put his hands up way too late, and the mayor takes him putting his hands up as a threat, and then grabs a hold of his wrists and pushes them. Okay, then he grabs the shirt, which is standard if you think you've been attacked. And he starts pulling this guy outside of the group. Now, if you'll see, the guy never even got his hands, like his other hands, they're up the entire time all this is happening. He never did anything other than raise his hands up. Here, his hands are out, like he's just pleading, like, "What are you doing, dude? What and why?" Okay. As they get over here, he's taking them away. And this is separating from the crowd now. And then this is the guy's brother. The guy's brother has no idea who this dude is that just grabbed up his brother. Now, imagine this. An unnamed, unmarked guy with stormtrooper black boots on, covered in all military gear, but not police, not notified as police. Would you be comfortable with somebody like that grabbing up your people? Well, this guy clearly wasn't. And that's when he comes in and gets on the back of the mayor, trying to get his brother freed. That goes bad real fast. So we're gonna play this all again from the beginning so we can see what happened. Alright, here we go.
What? My birthday.
It's my birthday today.
Hey! Hold on, put on there, Green. Hey! Chill that shit out, nigga. Get out! Get out! Oh, y'all, get the fuck out!
Now, at that point, them two guys, they're toast. It doesn't matter what they did or who they did it to or what the heck is going on, because once you get somebody separated from the rioters, or the group of rioters as the police are deeming it, and you are able to establish a wall to prevent the rest of the rioters from coming to their aid, those people are going to be, well, they're going to be subdued. And they get a wall and they push everybody out. All right. So there's the first, so that happens. Now, mind you, this mayor started this, and this is how it finishes.
Get the water! And then why they beating them? Why they beating them?
You see a female cop, she'll start pulling people off. There she is there, she'll pull him off. She's like, stop. Gets one separated, she goes back in. There goes another guy, pulls up off of him. They're still throwing punches. She's trying to get another one.
Where that officer at?
You got a female officer there trying to pull all these morons up off of these people. And she's the only one with a cool head.
Where that officer at? I need his badge number because I bet his house get bombed.
And yet again, I'm still not the type to get involved in these kinds of videos until today, when I see this as the news headline. Details on Joliet mayor's suspensions when he was a cop not found in police department files. Such records are typically kept forever. As fallout continues over a video of an altercation between the mayor of Joliet and two protesters, critics have pointed to disciplinary action taken against the mayor when he was a city police officer. Personnel records obtained by the Tribune earlier this month showed that Mayor Robert Odekirk was suspended 7 times for a total of 49 days in his former role as a Joliet police officer. Those documents, though, do not include reasons for the suspensions, complaints, any supporting documentation, or information about possible appeals. When the Tribune requested Odekirk's full disciplinary records, the Joliet Police Department responded by saying, "No records exist." Joliet Police Chief Al Rochner and Deputy Chief Daryl Gavin said they did not know why the records were not in Odekirk's personnel file. Gavin added that such records are typically kept by the police department forever, but neither the chief nor the deputy chief was aware what happened to Oudekirk's records. The mayor on Wednesday did not return requests for comment regarding the absent records. In previous statements, Oudekirk has said he acted in self-defense in the recorded skirmish with two protesters that flared during heated demonstrations on May 31st following the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. Oudekirk has called his decade of police service outstanding and said the media has been given bad information about his suspensions. Oudekirk resigned from the police department in 2003 when he became a lawyer. While the mayor has said he could not recall exactly how many days of suspension he had served, he believed he was suspended once for missing a court date, once for improperly parking a police vehicle, and once for writing on a desk. Oudekirk has also said none of his suspensions involved excessive use of force. Two former Joliet police chiefs contacted by the Tribune on Wednesday also could not recall details of any disciplinary action taken against Oudekirk. Yet one former chief said missing personnel records would be highly unusual. I don't know why they wouldn't exist, said David Gerdiz, who retired as chief in 2006 and has signed the personnel orders for several of Oudekirk's suspensions, according to police records. Gerdes said it was the police department's policy to keep such records. The former chief added that he was not aware of any suspensions during his tenure being completely overturned. Former Joliet Police Chief Fred Hayes, who served as Operations Division Commander during Oudekirk's tenure as police officer, also couldn't recall any specifics about the suspensions. Hayes described Oudekirk as a dedicated officer. He was a very knowledgeable police officer, said Hayes, who retired as Joliet's police chief in 2011. The Tribune has also requested Oudekirk's personnel records with the city's Human Resources Department, but the city has not responded yet. Something tells me they're not going to. Rochner said the police department and the Human Resource Department both kept a personnel file for each of the department's officers. Attorneys representing the two protesters involved in the altercation with the mayor said in a written statement that Oudekirk's, quote, record of indiscretions as a police officer for the city of Joliet fit a pattern that is relevant to what transpired, close quote, the night of the demonstrations. A video of the scene shows Oudekirk dressed in plain clothes wearing a baseball cap, later identified as a Joliet police cap by the police chief. Is that what it was? So, I have a friend of mine who's been having to deal with this guy as mayor and as a police officer for some time now, and so I happen to know the skinny on this situation. Shout out to you, TJ. What's going on? Glad you're good. But it still wouldn't be something that I would typically get involved in on my channel. I just want people to know that in the future. There is a bit of conspiracy here, though. This guy, he definitely made his records disappear. And if there's no reason, like if he says that all of his violations were for petty things, like I think one example was writing on a desk. If they were all that petty, then why would you have them deleted? And once again, the people who want me to just chalk that up to the ineptitude of government, I'm tired of that excuse. It doesn't seem very likely that the mayor of Joliet just happened to have his police record scrubbed. I'm tired of the coincidence thing. You know, everything about these riots have been presented in a way to sow division. It seems as though everything that's presented to us through our mobile devices or the television, it's all meant in a way to be divisive. But when it comes to this situation, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to things like that, there is common ground that we can find if we're allowed to find it together, if we're not so distracted by the powers that be that we don't come together. And I think that one of the things that we can all agree on is that there needs to be transparency in these police precincts. Things like this man's police record being scrubbed should not be able to happen. The officer that was involved in the most recent event had up-teen complaints against him. This information needs to be public information. It should be publicly accessible. It should be data-based. But all that aside, I just wanted to put some light on this guy, shine some light on this mayor, because regardless of how you feel about the confrontation that night, there's something going on with the way that he's running that area. And I want to see his police records. I wonder if we can just file a FOIA ourselves. This is a very polarizing conversation, and I know some of you guys might see this guy as like an awesome mayor. He's at the tip of the spear cracking heads during the riots. But I think that the thing that we can all agree on is corruption. We can't have corruption. We can't have people's police records getting wiped because they became the mayor. Just like we can't have guys getting killed by officers who have had up-teen number of complaints against them already. The way to solve both of these situations, as far as I see it, is to have officer complaints be public record. Put it in a database so people can look at it. Rate my officer. This is a difficult issue for America to wrestle with right now, and it's happening regardless for whatever outside reasons, and we may look at that in the future. But right now, it's just important for us to find common ground, and I think corruption is the common ground that we can definitely get behind. And the deeper you look at the level of corruption inside of our city and state, local governments, the scarier it gets. But anyways, guys, like, share, sub the channel.